Welcome back. Well, let's continue our conversation on Dr. Reddy's. We have Vishal Manchanda from Systematix Group joining in to discuss what he thinks of the developments. Vishal, hi, welcome to the show. Well, this was the news that the street was waiting for, but it's been disappointing. But the street, Dr. Reddy sort of set us up for it in Q2 when they said that they can't really rule out a complete response letter in Canada for Semaglutide. What's your sense? Do you think that they'll get approval in time to monetize the opportunity well enough?
Well, I think it still remains a question whether we'll see an approval coming through and maybe what timeline. So we know this is a complex generic, and if you look at the track record of India in terms of getting complex generic approvals. So like if you look at this specific category, which is a peptide drug and a drug device combination, we don't have too many precedences, like in terms of what has worked. So not many companies have got approval around in this category. So I think it is still uncertain. And then we also don't know whether other generic companies would get an approval for this.
Okay. All right. So you're not sure about the other generic companies to get an approval for this. But what are you factoring in when it comes to when they could get approval by? Because some are estimating maybe Feb, maybe March. Some are estimating maybe a year from now. And what is your estimate in terms of how much they can make? Is FY26 completely washed out in terms of an opportunity? And what are you estimating in terms of FY27?
So I think my sense is at least it should take at least 6 months from where we are today. Because if you look at Reddy's was the earliest filer here, one of the earliest filer. So first or the second filer in the category. So I think about 15 months have gone into the review, and still we are seeing a complete response letter here. So my sense is there are major challenges here, and maybe 6 months is something we should actually build into our estimate. And then again, the upside would largely depend on whether other generic companies get an approval and how many of the other generic companies get an approval. I think there are 5 companies that have filed. So if all 5 get, then probably it's not that interesting a story as we would want it to be.
Right. Dr. Reddy's on its part is saying that all of this can then be offloaded in other geographies, if not Canada. Do you think that will happen at a lower price, and as a result of which the impact would be a lot, more than what they are anticipating?
You're right. So all the quantities obviously can be offloaded into other geographies.
Exactly.
But Canada was more interesting because DRL could have been one of the early winners here, and they could have got a higher value out of the same volumes. But that probably might not happen in other geographies, which I think would be extremely competitive.
So in your estimate, what could the impact be from a dollar value perspective, if at all?
So what we were building in our numbers was $100 million of contribution from Semaglutide in Canada. Probably if they get an approval quickly and others don't, that still can be achieved, $100 million in FY27 from Canada. But if at all they miss this, so they miss the Canada opportunity. All other markets, I think, apart from Canada, my sense is all other markets maybe like between $50 to $100 million put together in the first year.
Okay. Vishal, which are the other Indian companies which have filed and could be waiting for approval in Canada?
As far as I know, Sun is the only one here among the Indian names that has filed for a Canada approval. Rest others are all global generics. Okay, so Sandoz, Apotex, I think Aspen is another, and probably Mylan.
Okay, so based on how complicated the drug is, do you assume that it could be a tough task for something like a Sun Pharma also?
So I would actually think Sun is a probable winner here. They have a track record in peptides. Although semaglutide is a more complex peptide in terms of the complexity, it's a longer chain amino acid peptide. While most approvals that Sun has secured for peptides are shorter amino acid chains peptide. And again, this is a drug device combination, but I think Sun has successfully executed on drug device combinations in the past.
Okay. Shelly Engineering, that stock is down around 9% odd. Do you look at it? Is Dr. Reddy such a huge contributor to it?
So our understanding is Shelly Engineering is basically the supplier of pen here, and they probably are a supplier to pen to most generic companies. So my understanding would be Shelly may not get as much impacted as DRL, because for Shelly, they are more concerned with volumes. So for them, Canada is not a high value market. They probably get the same value out of every market that they would serve. And from a volume perspective, my sense is Canada is a much smaller market. If we look at the entire global market that's going to open up in the next 1 year, from a volume perspective, other markets might be larger. And I think this should not be a very large market for Shelly Engineering.
Okay.
But again, Shelly might also supply to other generics that would have filed for approval in Canada. So if not Reddy's, they would still be able to supply to other generics that would have filed for Canada markets.
Exactly. So they do have, other opportunities which could probably compensate. So one should probably look at it that way.
Yeah, so they are not as much hit or as probably DRL can get impacted because of a delay here, because Canada was a high value market and probably going to deliver larger numbers for DRL. But for Shelly, it's not, they are kind of going to get the same value out of all markets. They're more of a volume driven story.
Okay. All right, Vishal, we're going to leave it on that note. Thanks very much for joining in and speaking with us. And I'm sure this is a story we're going to keep revisiting, considering that we do have the India Semaglutide opportunity as well. It'll go off patent in March of 2026. And Dr. Reddy's is currently in a patent litigation with Novo Nordisk to possibly even launch Semaglutide earlier if in case there is any kind of favourable outcome. It's currently in the courts in India. We'll take a short break, but up next, Abhijit Choksi will join in with some trading calls. Stay tuned.